CAT aspirants once, and now they are about to become managers. So here, welcome a few people. Mridul. Mridul Tiwari has converted IIM Calcutta with a 99.98 percentile. Swaraj Kesari, Ahmedabad and FMS Delhi, and he has scored 99.95 percentile overall. Anirudh, ISP convert, and scored 19.18 percentile. Krishna has scored 99.71 on FMS Delhi. He has converted that. Aditya Prasad. Aditya, please turn on your camera. Converted IIM Shillong, and he has 99.62 percentile. Then we have Rahul Sinha. Hey, Rahul. I and Rahul have talked a lot, multiple times. Like all of us have talked, but with Rahul, I think I've talked multiple times, almost every month. And Swaraj and I, we met over we had a party together. Then we have Anuj Maheshwari, who has scored 99.02 percentile. So let's go one by one, starting with Mridul. Mridul, what college you have converted that we know, and the percentile as well. So kindly, enlighten us about your academic profile, your 10th and 12th scores, and if any work experience is there, and what was your sectional percentiles in CAT?
Okay, so I have a 94 in 10th and I have a 74 in 12th. And in graduation, it was 7.6 CG. My CAT score is 99.98. Raw score was 132 marks with a sectional breakoff of 30 in VRC, 53 in DLR, and 49 in quants.
All right. Can you just repeat that again so that I can just refer to it whenever required? 10th 94,
Yes, sir.
12th was
74.
74, and grad was 7.6.
Yes.
Perfect. VRC
30.
That was a score, scale score.
Yeah, raw score.
Percentile
96.2.
96.2, and LRDI.
LRDI is 53 marks and the percentile is 99.98.
Wow, 53 marks. Looks, kind of impossible. Quant,
Quant, it is 49 marks and
okay,
the percentile is 99.94.
perfect. And overall, it was 99
32.
point.
132 marks is overall score and overall percentile is 99.98.
Perfect. So that was and any work experience do you have?
Yes, I was working since 2023. I have joined one of the companies from campus itself, and I was basically a procurement buyer. So
All right.
it's one of the steel manufacturing companies, AMNS. There I worked in. Yeah.
Okay. And how many months of work was there?
So we joined immediately post graduation itself. So it's around 22 months of work experience.
Great. Oh, I'll come back to you again. Let's talk to Anuj. Yeah, Anuj. Enlighten me about your profile.
Sure, I can do that. In 10th, I scored 96%,
Great.
95% as what CGPA comes as to be, 95% CBSE. 12th, I had 90%. I did my graduation from BITS Pilani. I'm an engineer. I had 7.7 CGPA.
Okay.
Post which I started working. I'm a 23 graduate. So again, it has been currently 18 to 20 months of me working. Otherwise, in my CAT, I scored a 99.02 percentile. The individual breakup would be in 96 percentile in English. The VA section for DILR, I scored a 98.5, and similarly in Quant, I scored 98.5.
Great. Do you also remember your scores, the scale scores?
I am not sure I can go for
All
it.
right.
So I had score of 31 in VARC, 35 in DILR, and 13 quants. 95 total score.
13 points. That's great. Let's talk to Swaraj. I think I know already, but yeah, I think
Hello,
people,
sir.
they want to know. Yes.
Yes, so my
What
10th
was-
score is 95%.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Come again. 10th score is 95, right?
95, 12th is 92, and in grad it was 89.4. My CAT score is raw score was 133, but it got scaled down a little to 130.65,
All right.
and VRC percentile being 93.7.
Mhm.
LRDI score was 62, but it got scaled down. Slot 1 was easier than the other slots. So 99.98 percentile there, and in quant 99.88 percentile.
62 score. Again, so I
Yes.
said 53 was impossible, and now you have broken the impossible wall. Quant was how much? 90?
99.88, sir.
All right.
Score being 42 and scaled up to 44.
And you're an engineer, right?
Yes, sir.
And how
Yes, yes.
many months of work ex do you have?
Right now, I have close to 20 to 22 months of work ex. While filling the form, was almost a fresher, 12 months.
12 months. Okay. That is, you must have got 2 out of 5 um, by the conversion ratio. Anyways, now coming to Anirudh. Anirudh? Yeah,
Yeah, hello, sir. Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
perfect. So your 10th and 12th scores, entire
Yeah.
profile.
So in 10th, I had 95%.
Mhm.
In 12th, I had 87. In
Mhm.
graduation as well, I had 87. I'm an engineer,
Mhm.
and I have 13 months of work ex from PwC.
Okay.
I left my job in September 2024, right before CAT.
Okay. That is important. Well,
Yeah.
uh,
And
hmm.
my overall scale score was 122.
Hmm.
My percentile is 99.89.
Mhm.
And individual scores were 45 in VARC,
Mhm.
39 in DILR, and
Mhm.
37 in
Quant.
quants. Yes, so 99 plus in all three. I don't remember the exact percentiles.
Oh, no worries. Great. Now we have Rahul. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Mhm.
So my profile includes 10th, I had 10 CGPA, so 95%,
Mhm.
12th, 84%,
Mhm.
and in graduation, 87.3%.
Nice.
And yeah, after that, yeah, I have work experience too. Like I'm working as an associate in PwC. So while filling the form, yeah, same as Swaraj, 12 months of work ex, but right now about 20 months.
Okay. Nice. Then we have Krishna.
Yes, hi, greetings to everyone who's watching and in the roundtable.
Hmm.
I'm Krishna, and a brief profile about me. My 10th score was 85 percentile, 85 percentage, not percentile. My 12th was 82.5, 83ish, and I did my graduation from NIT Surat, where my percentage was 82 percentage in electronics and communication engineering. And I'm a graduate of 2022, but I have a 3-year work career gap, because I decided to prepare for UPSC. So I was a fresher in terms of admissions, as far as admissions were concerned. And my scores were 54 in VRC, 45 in DI, and 18 in quant. And the percentiles work out to be 91 for quant and 99.9 something for VRC. I don't remember DL.
Okay. All right. So I would like to ask a question, first of all, to Krishna. Yeah. Krishna, a lot of students, who prepare and they're always confused what to answer when they have a question about work gap. It is very common, 1 year gap is very common, but yours is like 3 years. Three
Yes.
3 years gap. So did they ask any question on that?
Not just any question. All my interviews began with, what the hell have you been doing for the last 3 years? So that is going to be a thing. But and I received quite a lot of pushback for having taken 3 years gap for UPSC. I'm not sure if they actually felt that or they just wanted to test it, what I answer. But I did receive pushback in each and every interview. But then if you are clear in your answer that this is the reason why I did it and this is the reason why I would still do it, then I think that's good enough. So I mean, you need to have a valid answer. You cannot be just saying कि I was ऐसे chill मारा था घर पे. But if you have a valid reason, then I don't think that it would create such a problem. Of course, because of my lack of work ex, I had quite a bit of trouble getting shortlist. But then I don't think in the interview score that should reflect in your interview scores as such.
All right. So it's important to have a justified answer, that why
Yes.
people had this gap if they had any. All right. And also, like your score in quant was 18,
Yes,
means 91 percentile. So, and
yes, yes,
you are joining FMS, right?
yes,
A lot of people have this, question as well, that if they score, let's say, in the range of late 80s or early 90s in one of the sections, then how would it actually affect? But here's an example that it doesn't affect much. It's all that you need to clear the sectional cutoffs, and overall your score should be about like 98, 99, something like that. Then it will be a great thing. By the way, did they also ask you about this? That why have you scored low in comparison to other two sections?
yes, yes. In one or two interviews, and just to answer it, I was the real reason is that I was not feeling that day, and since we all know quant सबसे last में होता है, quant is the last section that you do. So I ran out of mileage by the time I reached quant. So that was the reason, and since but an added advantage was that I am good at quant. So like in all of my interviews, when they asked about my low scores in quant, they did follow it up with mathematics question, and I was able to deal with them because my background is from engineering, so I'm adept with quant. So even if the scorecard told a different story, I was able to prove otherwise. So that also helped.
All right. Okay. Did you actually say that because quant is the last section and I was not feeling that great and that is the reason I scored?
Yes, because I did not find a reason to lie about it because that's what happened actually. And how else would you explain it? Like if you're an engineer from a reputed institution and you're telling me ki, I don't know maths, that is actually kind of question mark in how did you do your engineering in the first place?
Exactly. So here the thing is, even if scored low, it's just that you need to answer it the way it actually is. Like it should be true,
Yes.
even if it looks weird. That is the kind of a take-home lesson for all the other CAT aspirants preparing right now. Let's. I have a question for Mridul. Mridul, you had 74% in Senate 12th, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. And a lot of people say that if they have close to 70 or 75, it's a bad score in academics. So did that affect you? If yes, then how?
So, in none of my interviews, actually, they followed up with my 12th scores. So I was lucky that way. But I think it definitely affects in the interview process. In before interviews, basically, in order to get shortlisted, I have to boost up my score to such an extent because I have been giving CAT for past 2 times as well. So this was my third attempt. And because of that 74, I have to push my score to 99.98 in order to get calls at least.
Yeah. This is important. Third attempt. And in the first two attempts, what was the score?
Sir, it was 99.34.
No, in the first two.
Yes. The first attempt, it was 99.34. The
Okay.
second, it was 99.66. And finally, this time I've landed up with 99.98.
So in the previous attempts, like you had great scores.
Yes, sir.
Did you get calls? Obviously, you must have gotten calls. And did you also appear in the interview? What exactly happened there?
So I was not able to get a interview call from any of the blackies
Okay.
in previous two attempts. There were calls, definitely from new IMs, SPJ of the world, but in last of the interviews, I think I was a bit underprepared. So they were asking me something related to my work ex, and I was not able to answer that time. This time I had got an experience. I had got the flavor of what kind of interviews I will be facing. So this time I was better prepared.
Normally, it happens in exams like UPS and people paper 2 times, then third time. In the first time prelim हो गया, main नहीं हुआ, mains हो गया, interview नहीं हुआ, interview हुआ खराब हो गया. So all those things we are, it's very common in UPSC or PSC exams, state level exams. In CAT, that's very rare.
Yes.
It happens, but it's rare. Like people who are scoring great above 99 in both first two attempts, still, Mridul is a kind of a testament to this that he never gave up, right? And I won't say gave up because he was doing that. He's what he's doing. But at the very same time, it required a lot of courage to actually wait for 1 year, 2 year, and then because you don't have the black eyes call, you won't go there. So this is something I want to know. Kind of the students wants to know that what exactly goes on in the mind of someone who is somehow sure or takes the risk that like okay I can repeat, I can prepare for CAT again, and you did it for 3 times. So what was the mindset?
So I definitely had some of the loopholes that I could identify during my previous two attempts. I had a botched up DLR in both the times. So
Hmm.
there was definitely a scope of improvement I could see. And
Hmm.
the aim was basically to get at least I should be able to deliver myself in the interviews. I am able to share my story there. So I
Hmm.
definitely needed those blackie calls. And for that, I also knew that the you are only going to do the MBA only once in your life. So why not give your best? So that's
Perfect.
the aim. And I had WorkX also. So it was also helping me better my profile there.
Hmm. Hmm.
So definitely this third attempt was it didn't go in vain and I delivered there.
Right. That's a great statement. People who are watching us right now, I would like to reiterate what he said, that you do MBA just for, one time in your life, and if that's just one time, it should be the best one. I think that'll be, great statement to, you should write it, the people who are watching it right now. Okay. Now my next question will be to Anuj. Anuj, your scores are kind of balanced, all sorts of balance. In overall, you have got 99.02, right? So, what all calls do you have which all you have converted?
Sure, sir. I'd also like to add with what Mridul was saying. This was also my third attempt, given that
Oh,
I had also figured out some loopholes from my previous attempts. Those
okay.
were even worse, possibly. For an general engineer, male 99.02 is also probably not enough. I would want to say, at least for the aspirants out there, you should definitely be aiming for much higher, as these guys have.
Hmm. Hmm.
For the calls I've had Indore call, as in I am Indore call is what I'll be waiting for. I am Mumbai, I have MDI, IIFT, SPJ, I had all these calls. I also had given ZAT, Snap, so I converted Symbiosis. I have converted XLRI. So, that is there, but yeah.
So, XLRI, you convert the final, which program?
So for the BM program, I am waitlisted as of now, but I mean the last time movement shifted much higher than my waitlist, so I'm anticipating it to be getting converted.
Okay, so let's say you get both IM Indore and XLRI, BM. What would you choose?
Sir, as for now, at least for the seniors who have talked to and the alums who have talked to from both the colleges, at least who have had the similar background or at least are working in the industry where I would want to probably work into, I think XLRI seems like a better idea than I am Indore, as for now at least.
They're going to ask this question in the interview. I think interview has happened already. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So this is also important. The people who are watching right now, that if you are stuck, like this, like we have two or three colleges, which one to choose. So it's essential to, kind of connect with the seniors. When I say seniors, the alumni of the same college, different colleges from which you have the calls. And also, obviously, we are also there. And these people who have converted, they will also be there in the group, in the
For sure.
caption by iQuanta, and they can, guide you. So all of you, those who are watching, just write down their names and, kind of bombard with them questions when required. Not every day. Okay. Swaraj,
Yes, sir.
right now you have 20 months of work around 20 months, but
Yes, roughly 2022.
when you applied, it was 12 months. Okay.
Yes.
So, which means you got 2 marks out of 5 in the
Not
work.
even that, sir, because they subtract your months, I mean, by 12, x
Minus
minus
6.
12.
It's -6, no?
I mean, for majority of the colleges I read,
Okay.
it's
It's
11 or
-12
12.
now. Oh, so
Hmm.
that was the pressure one. So you got
Yeah.
1.5. Okay. So Raj also got 1.5, and so did Rahul. And I think Anirudh also same kind of pressure only, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the highest work ex here, the people that we have, is of Mridul, which is 22 months when you applied.
Sir, I think I am also in the same bracket then because I and Swaraj, I think we graduated in the same year.
Yes. Same.
Okay. Okay. So all of you are, in a way, technically freshers only. Most of you. Or we have anyone? No, everybody is same. Okay. So one by one, tell me which section in the preparation, when you're preparing for CAT, you found the most difficult or challenging, and did the same happen in the real CAT as well? Or it was some other section. So let's start with Anuj. Yeah, Anuj.
Sorry, I did not hear you. There was a lag
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah, yeah. The question is, while preparing for CAT, which section did you find the most challenging or difficult, or and in the real CAT, was it the same section that you found difficult or something changed?
Sure, sir. To start with, again, as I rightly mentioned, I had this was my third attempt. In both the first two attempts, I knew that VARC has been a problem for me. That was very well identified.
Hmm.
Just to know the extent of how bad it went, in my first attempt, I had 72 percentile in VARC. In my second, I had 79.
Okay.
This time I had 96. So again, all this year I was trying to find up my pace to understand how to answer VRC questions, on how to look for passages, on again, all of mostly 50% or rather more than 50% of my prep was towards VRC. My DILR and my quant have always been on at par. I mean, I had more than 98 percentiles both the times. So it was rather on navigating on what my problems are and trying to possibly make them better. So again, VARC was the most difficult. Eventually in the paper, as everyone would know by now, that CAT 2024 was an easier paper, let's say. So that way VARC was easier. I think I struggled with DILR selecting questions, and eventually the things went down south. So again, for what I was preparing an entire year, it was a complete surprise to how it appeared in CAT.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay. So, and also, having said that, you're an engineer from
yeah,
Pilari, right?
yes,
And this is very common with engineers only. I've seen that they are somehow, kind of, they feel that VRC can be a bit complex because they don't read much. I
yeah,
cannot generalize it. Obviously, there can be some people who read a lot, but then, and there is a reason probably that, what we thought to name that module as engineers VARC, which I think now it is validated. Okay. But in the CAT, something else happened. It was LRDI, which became more complex, as you said. Okay. What extra did you do for VARC in the last 2 years? And also, I would like to, tell everyone who is watching right now that he his major focus was on VRC, but the reason is because he was a repeater. Already in the last two times, he had scored well in LRDI and Quant. The people who are doing the first time, they should be balancing all these sections, I believe, right?
definitely, sir. Definitely. In nowhere, I would mention that I did not put enough efforts for my DILR and
Hmm.
quants.
Hmm.
I mean, I can still possibly go back to my notes. I had like written every question of how I've solved. I still have it. So in the sense that you always have to have possibly balancing out all the situations and just have put in extra some efforts for the place where you're lagging behind. That is in every competitive exams, that is in possibly every exams you could appear for that way. What extra did I do? I definitely started that thing. Application classes helped me a lot, in the sense where I was trying to go through the passages given every day. In fact, for all the material iQuanta gave us, I mean, I definitely made sure that I had covered VARC as much as I could. So, I mean, I had made a thing in the last 6 months. I definitely read 4 passages a day. There wouldn't have been a single day I would have missed that. So, I mean,
Four
four
passages
passages
a
a
day,
day.
you are reading and practicing as well with the questions.
Practicing, obviously, yes, sir.
Practicing. Huh?
That too with time limit, in the
Okay.
sense that I would give myself a stipulated time. Eventually, I would keep on decreasing it. But then I started with like 30 minutes. I would give 4 sets a day. And that is how I
30
did very
minutes for four
diligently.
sets. That is how you started.
Sorry,
30 minutes for 4 sets.
4 sets, yes, sir.
Okay. Good. I think others can also chip in. You
Yeah.
can go and unmute others.
Uh,
Yeah. Mhm.
if I may. Yeah, so I felt that even towards the end, DILR remained a coin toss because I did some sets right before CAT which were extremely difficult and I could not solve them in a timed manner. So DLR remained a mystery till the end. But luckily, this time they had 4 question sets, and by doing PYQs, I knew that back in 2021 also they had 4 question sets. So I knew that the 4 question sets were always easier than the 5 question ones, and so I targeted all 3 of those and luckily solved all 3.
Wow.
So that helped.
Okay. And you have scored well there. Great. Okay. In the YouTube, there's some people, Krishna, you have a good fan following. Probably you are, Jim's, Jim, the gains are visible. Is that so? Krishna, you have some people over here in the
Thank you.
YouTube, who are discussing about this.
Okay.
You have some fan following. And also, some people are asking that what was your exact answer when they asked about UPSC, the gap years. So,
Uh, so
mhm,
yeah. So I'll lay it out for you quite in a detailed manner. So basically, my first interview was at MDI, and
mhm,
so I'll give you kind of a pseudo transcript of the UPSC part to generalize my answers for how I answered that question in all interviews.
mhm,
And as I said earlier as well, all my interviews opened with why is there a 3 year gap? Because at no point of time can you sneak in UPSC in the SOPs generally, not in a bold manner. So that's a natural question that everyone asks. So if you are someone who has gap years, then please expect that almost all of your interviews will begin with why is there a huge gap in your resume.
mhm,
So the first question would generally open, what have you been doing for the last 3 years? And I would answer that, sir, I've been preparing for UPSC CSC. I decided that after my graduation and I cleared prelims, I scored so and so in mains, etc., etc. And so that would generally be followed by, oh, but there is such a large gap. Do you think without work experience, do you think you'll be able to cope with MBA, or will you be able to secure a placement for yourself, etc., etc.? So I would generally follow it up by saying that I know that 3 years seems a lot, at least in the MBA world, but in the realm of UPSC, it is kind of the norm. People take much larger gaps, so I don't feel that it was a wrong decision on my part. And I also justified it by saying that UPSC has a kind of syllabus which demands that you take a significant amount of time to prepare for it specifically, because they are not subjects that you deal with on day-to-day basis or in your background generally. So
mhm.
that was my response to that. And then I would argue that let's say that I'm a fresher, like I don't have any work experience. So would the admissions committee argue that no freshers can thrive in an MBA? That wouldn't be the case, right? So even if you assume that the last 3 years of my life have been a waste, even then, I don't think that that nullifies me to be a good MBA candidate.
Hmm. Hmm.
Plenty of freshers walk into these halls and do pretty well for themselves after completing the course. So why should I be an exception to it? Why can't I just do the same thing that thousands have been doing for every year? So that would generally be my line of argumentation in terms of why the gap wouldn't really matter in terms of how I would perform in an MBA or beyond an MBA.
Was it actually an argument? Like you said, if you think 3 years are waste,
No, no, no.
I don't
I'm
think
just no, no, no.
you would have used
Yeah,
that.
no, no, no. I'm just trying to make it concise, so it might sound a lot more argumentation. I'm just trying to
Okay.
make it one and for so that the point goes across to the audience. Of course, it was a lot more, sir, I agree with you, but I think this,
Yeah.
sir, I agree with. Of course, you have to be
Okay.
diplomatic the way you answer. I'm
Yes.
just trying to make it concise, so it is sounding that way.
That
Please
is
don't do
important.
that.
That is important. Yes. Otherwise, they would start arguing in the
I've
interview.
just formatted it into a question answer format so
Hmm.
that the
Hmm.
audience perceives it better. That's all. I did not say that.
Great, great. And Tejaswini has a question here. Hey, Tejaswini, how are you doing? She's asking, how did you all manage to study along with working full time? Because everyone who is here was a working professional. Technically, you were freshers because you had close to 12 months of work, but then you're working. So how do you try manage the preparation and the work?
So
All
for
of you
me,
can answer. Yes, Swaraj.
when I was working, my role was I was a software developer at Oracle.
Hmm,
So I used to do everything in my power to complete all of my tasks before 6 p.m.
hmm,
And if I had to start early in the day, so be it. If I have to be less distracted between 10 to 6, so be it. But do everything in your power to complete your task before 6 p.m. Don't get distracted by Instagram or any other social media platform.
hmm,
Post 6 p.m., you'll have a clarity that your work is done and
hmm.
it's all to cat prep now. Apart from you having dinner or maybe going to a workout, there's nothing else that will be remaining after 6 p.m. So just have that clarity in a way where you complete your task very early, finish off meetings, don't schedule it for late in the night, and have that enough time and mental bandwidth both so that you're preparing very nicely after 6 p.m.
Now, the thing here is, Swaraj, that what you have told is the process,
Hmm.
right? But the question was more about how are you mentally ready for doing this? Because finishing before 6 p.m. also requires a lot of effort, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. It does. It
So
does.
how to manage that kind of mental courage and bandwidth, the word that he used.
Sir, mental courage, I actually also used to have this question very early before starting my prep. But eventually you realize one thing, if you want it, you'll do it. There's no other equation to it. If you want it that bad, you'll do it.
Right.
There is genuinely no other equation or any extrinsic push that can be given. It'll only be intrinsic where you push yourself and you tell yourself, I want this, I need to do this. There's no other way out. So I believe intrinsic motivation is important and not because of any material goal that you have after MBA or something else that can turn out after MBA, but just the genuine passion to just be in that classroom, solve those problems, do it from a good place. When
Perfect.
you have good motivation.
It's like walk the talk. I'll come back to this material aspect of that you mentioned, but let's
Hmm.
first try to listen it out from Mridul. Yeah, Mridul, how did you manage?
So for me, sir, it was my third attempt. Essentially, all of the syllabus I had already covered beforehand. Now, this for me, this attempt means that I am ensuring myself that I am able to solve some good amount of questions, and
Hmm.
for that, the best sources are mocks. So from June onwards, I decided that I will be enrolling into test series,
Hmm.
and I basically gave around 50-55 full length live mocks.
Okay, and you did it every year.
Yeah.
The last 3 years, you attempted 55 marks every year, right?
For this attempt, for last two attempts, it was syllabus plus mocks, but for
Okay,
this attempt, it was essentially through mocks.
okay. So you already had the edge because you have
Yes, I definitely had
preparation
it.
already there. Anuj, what about you?
Sure. I mean, again, as Swaraj said, if the question is about motivation and how do you not get tired, it's just that you have to find your motivation. I was sure that I wanted to do an MBA very bad, and that is why I definitely, again, found in every new ways to possibly neglect work till it can be, and then give that time to my CAT studies. So, I mean, I used to find out time in the day, solve questions. I've taken my books to the office if I could just sneak in a meeting room and just solve possibly some quants that way. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, if you can find motivation good enough, I'm sure then again, there are logical answers to this that how possibly WorkX helps you into MBA admissions,
Hmm.
how it is also letting you grow in terms of your understanding more things, you're just more involved,
Hmm.
etc., etc. But then it is just about motivation. I knew that I could not put all my eggs in one basket, as in I leave my work and then just prepare for CAT. Eventually, what if it does not go well?
Hmm.
At least I could give the third attempt in the sense because I was working, I was doing decently well in my office as well. So I always had a fallback that way. So in all and all, logically, it sounded very sound that possibly this is the best way to go about it. And I mean, again, there can be excuses that there was work heavy for certain time. I could not find time. If you want, you can always find time. I have had 16 hours work a day as well while I was preparing. So then eventually I would not study that day and eventually find time later on to just make up for the lost
In the
time.
in the weekends, probably.
Yeah, definitely. And also, at least one thing that helped me is that I am a night owl. So, I mean, I would study very late in the night and then possibly because, let's say, I am working for US clients, so I can start later in the
Yeah,
day, possibly.
yeah.
So, again, you can find reasons for yourself on how you would want to. I'm sure that one of my very close friend, my flatmate, also appeared for CAT. He used to study, wake up 4 in the morning and then study because he could not stay late up in the night. So I'm sure you can find ways, but then again, motivation is what is very, very necessary, and that is why you should be very sure on that. Okay, if you want to do an MBA, this is how you're going to do it.
Okay, when you talk about motivation, I think I have a different take on motivation. That is a personal opinion, but I don't know whether you will, kind of, you guys will be agreeing. What I feel that motivation doesn't result in action. That is what I believe. I feel actions result in motivation, the other way around. So a very small action that you take, a small thing will motivate you because you might be getting some kind of reward mechanism, psychological, all that, cocktails of hormones happen. And then to get that again, that's the kind of feeling you do more. So it's like, it's like if I talk about the kind of the substance abuse that people do in a negative way. So the process is almost same. The kind of the biological chemical phenomenon is almost same. So people, they abuse themselves with the substance. They start in low quantities, then they grow, kind of, increase it. I think similar thing happens with motivation as well. You start small, a small action, which gives you some kind of reward, mental reward. Then to get that reward, you need more action. So probably that is what I feel. So is it same for you guys also?
Sir, I believe motivation sets you up nicely for performing the action for the first time. And once you see the results, it's addictive after that because you know you've cracked a process that can give you the result and
Hmm.
you would not want to move away from it.
Yeah,
And then it's the action and results that motivates you and pushes you ahead. But yes, for the first time, at least motivation is essential. But
right.
again, depends on an individual, what motivates an individual.
So for the CAD aspirants right now, I think this session itself is the first motivation. When you guys
Yes, I've seen the comments that they want to be on the round table this year, and I wish them really all the best.
Rahul wants to add something. Yeah, Rahul.
Yeah, sure, sir. If I may, like, if I have a different opinion here, because my
Hmm.
mind works with a negative reinforcement work. So whenever I did not feel to study, so I actually did a sectional mock. So I would see my marks that it was very bad. So I would start studying again. So
Hmm.
that was my kind of motivation to start studying. Like it happens a lot because after a day of tiring work, you would not be like my mind was not able to have the courage to start studying right after my work. So I did this, so it may help some of the aspirants. So yeah, you could do a sectional mock or any kind of a small test, and then you would see that you are not at par where you want to be, where
Hmm.
you want yourself. The marks are not showing that, so you would automatically start studying if you want that.
Right. Right. Okay, so your motivation is driven by some kind of fear, right?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, motivation comes from different emotions. Um, Anirudh, what do you think?
Sir, I think that you need to have a very strong reason to stay consistent,
Hmm. Hmm.
because it's very easy to lose your way because it's a long journey and it's
Hmm.
a hectic one.
Hmm.
And advising the aspirants, I think I had the photos of the top 10 MBA colleges print. I had a printout and I had put it up on a wall in my room.
Hmm.
So it's a very small thing, but I don't know. Every day I woke up, I saw that, and that just reminded me that I have to do something. I have to stick to the studies somehow.
Yeah.
And especially for Rahul, I somewhat uh, had a relaxed work-life balance. Rahul, on the other hand, worked extremely hard. So kudos to him for achieving what he did, even after having a very hectic work life.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, there, I can see some comments here. Tejaswani says, "Thank you for the inspiring answers. Will surely apply them in my prep." I can relate to the point where Anuj mentioned neglecting work as much as possible to solve some cat questions. Personally, I don't think Anuj meant that. Neglecting work for the cat problems. Do not do that ever. I think Anuj, you can explain that.
Yeah, for sure. So again, I made sure that my work wasn't getting hampered. But then again, it necessarily does not mean that I'm working for 10, 12 hours. I mean, I would rather pace up in my time, complete the work, and then possibly just give an excuse to my manager that, okay, it demands some time. It was just my efforts that I could do it earlier. And that is how I would find time and space for myself to solve some cat questions. Again, I mean, you have to play some hide and seek with your manager if you're appearing for cat, is what I would say. And till certain extent, it is fine. I mean, it wasn't that I wasn't working. I recently got promoted despite all of this cat prep. So, I mean, it never was that I was neglecting work or I was just not working. It was rather more on the lines of how you can possibly balance both because eventually both are necessary and you have to ace in both of them.
Yeah. There's one thing, I'm enjoying this conversation now because somehow now we are able to, this is a proper human communication. It's not like that people are just scared to let out their uh, dark answers as well. People are kind of comfortable and honest, really honest here. This is also kind of I would say, a learning for the aspirants. And right now, I can also see some people, they just, okay, been there, done that. Sanskriti says, I believe it's more about discipline over motivation. Okay. From your answers, probably like Swaraj, I think from your answer, she got the idea that you are more disciplined, which you call as motivation, probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
on discipline, just adding something here.
Hmm.
I think it's really great to have peers who are just as focused as you. Like I mentioned, Rahul and I, we're from the same UG college. We're really good friends. So we
Hmm.
prepared together and we kept each other in check.
Hmm.
So that's a really good thing to have. Peers who are just as focused and
Right.
yeah.
Right. Sometimes, it has happened with me as well, and all of you might relate to it. Starting with the school only, that what happened? The people who, not all, but people, who were kind of the toppers, top five, top three, all those people, be it sports, be it academics, they had some secrets. They were like, okay, I won't reveal it. Probably they will also know a secret, and they would also do the same thing, and they will talk. This is something which I have seen majorly. Um, but I always felt that is a wrong way to go about. Like, what Andrid, Rahul, you said that you were keeping each other in check. Both of your toppers now. But at the very same time, you guys were kind of honest and transparent to each other. So what is essential here, because we are humans, even if, we might, kind of try to be cool by, not talking to people, all that stuff. But somehow I feel, because humans is a social animal, and obviously after doing an MBA, you will be dealing with a lot of humans. That is what the exact job is, be it finance, HR, marketing, whatever. But in a way, you'll be dealing with humans. So this is the human part of you which should not be lost. This is for the CAD aspirants. I think you guys also believe in that. It is very important to grow, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Krishna, your opinions?
So I also kind of hold a contrarian opinion, not exactly contrarian, but I firmly believe in the dictum that motivation is cyclical, discipline is permanent. So of course, motivation helps.
Hmm.
It helps a lot, but then what keeps you going is discipline. So I think that more than anything else, जैसे as I think Swaraj said that 6 बजे पढ़ने बैठना है तो पढ़ने बैठना है. It doesn't matter. Everything else going on around me doesn't matter. So I think developing that mindset is very important. Of course, a rigid timetable might not work for people who are working. I can't talk about that. I don't have any experience in regards to that. But I can certainly say that if you decide for yourself that no matter what, heaven or hell, I will study for 2 hours a day, then you have to. And you have to develop that discipline, which is much more important, not just while preparing for CAT, but for MBA and life beyond MBA. Because it's still CAT preparation. I mean, imagine yourself working in a top MNC, working 12 hours, logging 16 hours, and then you have to also come home, do other stuff. So in life in general, discipline is very important. So I think that more than motivation, use your motivation to mold a discipline around you is what I think.
Yeah, it's the kind of the things that we're discussing, that the first action is from motivation, then all the other actions
Yes.
happen. Motivation and action and discipline all go hand in hand. So you can, pick any one
Yes.
thing out of this, and ultimately you will reach the same goal, be it action, motivation, or discipline. In a way, we can say that we can, kind of
Just
conclude that.
wanted to add one more perspective to it. I
Hmm.
think you can see CAT preparation as recreation. Why are we seeing it as a core? If you look at it as a fun game, like we have
Yeah.
some engaging puzzles to solve and we can engage with some new wisdom through RCs, then if we look at it from a different perspective, it is not a core as such. It is in fact a fun
Hmm.
exam.
Hmm.
If you look that way, then I think it
Right. Right.
is.
It kind of
Actually, just
yeah.
adding to that, this was the case for me with LRDI because I thoroughly enjoyed solving LRDI sets,
Hmm.
especially the ones which I'm not able to solve because it genuinely feels like a good puzzle. That how what else can I tinker? Of course, there are times when your head is steaming and you just want to throw away the book. That also happens. But then also don't. The point is that don't take yourself too seriously in the sense that keep the fun in to the extent possible so that you can also enjoy the process. See, it as challenging as CAT is or any other exam is, it also teaches you a lot and it's an opportunity to improve yourself as well. So keep that thing in mind and that might give you that extra push.
Exactly. It's a great addition by Mridul and Krishna. In fact, I became a cat trainer because of this only, because cat looks like, even studying for it or teaching for it, it looks like a game. It's kind of, these days people are gamifying education, gamifying a lot of stuff. The reward mechanism in terms of form of coins in the games, all that stuff is happening. And even I feel like in RC, as you said, uh, discussing philosophical things, psychological things, or geopolitics. So we can go around even different directions, diverse directions. A lot of people, this is very important, like I'm teaching RCs these days. So a lot of people in RC, they feel that why are we discussing things which are not there in the passage? Some people feel that. And I know that should not be the correct feeling, because in RC, to get different perspectives, RC is not just, it's not a trick that you can solve it by using some kind of theorems. And obviously need to have some language, knowledge of English language, some vocabulary, some kind of general knowledge also. It helps, but that is not very much important, like in UPSC exam. But at the very same time, in RC, what happens if we discuss diverse things, which are somehow connected to the topic also? It makes us learn new things, which will be helpful for us in the future, even in the jobs that we'll be doing in the corporate. So, do you guys have you guys ever felt that going in the diverse directions in RC is not a great thing to do, or does it actually help in building the knowledge, and maybe in practical ways also it helps? What do you think?
For me, it backfired, sir. Whenever I used to actually make the discussion or thought process diverse in RCs, I used to add my own bias to the answers, and my answers used to go wrong.
Hmm.
For example, if I know something, hello,
Yeah,
am I
yeah.
audible?
Yes, yes,
Yes, yes, you
audible.
are. Yeah.
Right. If I knew a little bit more about tech that is being discussed, and if that bias comes into RC and author isn't speaking about that, my answers used to go wrong. So
Hmm.
my focus was to understand only author's framework or perspective in that particular RC, and then hunt the questions down.
That's a
So
great, great thing.
in
So is it like while preparing, or there are two things in CAT preparation? One is when you learn, other is what you apply, which is the case normally with RC. In quant, we have fixed things. When you're learning, so do you, like you said, you have some knowledge about tech and somehow you got biased. But did you learn new things also when you read something about Cold War, maybe in some
Yes,
RC?
a lot, a lot, a lot. I mean,
And
articles reading
yeah,
during for VRC preparation
yes.
gives you history knowledge, philosophy knowledge, gives you what's going on in tech, what's going on climate change,
Hmm.
different perspectives, and all of them actually incidentally helps you in your interview prep as well.
Right.
Because some of the things that you remember from that preparation helps you here.
Yeah. So now when you have established that when preparing for VARC, people tend to read a lot, which even, we say that go and read. And in the application, it might backfire, as Swaraj said. Now, this is a very
Hmm.
important, I would say, um, event, or not the event, but very important point of discussion, that how to not get biased while answering the RC questions. They're
Hmm.
two different things altogether.
Got it.
Knowledge, getting the knowledge and applying it, and then applying it for CAT, they're three
Hmm.
different things actually.
Hmm.
So this is where, which must have backfired in some cases, Swaraj, in others also. You can also share your, opinions about that and your experiences. That did that backfire, and if it did, then how did you manage it?
So,
Yes.
I think I will go about it. So
Hmm.
for VRC, it definitely helps to encompass your comfort zone and increase that knowledge of whatever you have right now from your base knowledge. You
Hmm.
definitely, if you go about some different domains and study about them, next time you are going to handle the RC about that subject, you are able to better comprehend that subject. And in that process, you are going to definitely uh, have more accuracy on those questions when you answer. That is my take on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
adding to Mridul's, I
Hmm.
think go in with a very clean mind, uh, blank slate essentially, and then I think you can control your bias from kicking in. And circling back to what you said earlier, sir,
Hmm.
I also found reading RCs really interesting.
Hmm.
I personally did not like doing DILRs a lot, but I read a lot of RCs, and I scored the most in VRC, so that
Hmm.
made sense.
Yes. Yes. Someone is asking, how did you get the 62 marks in LRDI? Who was that? I think it was Swaraj, right? And
yes.
53, Mridul, you got that. So how you guys managed to? And they are asking whether it is possible. So yeah,
Right.
yes.
Sir,
Tell us.
given 2024 paper, it's highly possible. But yes, I'll just explain what what happened with me during my LRDI section.
Hmm.
So before the paper started, the screen mentioned it's 22 questions, 5 or 4 each. So if
Hmm.
you put some permutation combination, you'll know 2 or 5 and 3 or 4.
Hmm.
So my thought process, my self-talk just before starting the exam was, I'm not going to go by 5 or 4
Hmm.
question as in I'll get more marks attempting 5. No, I'll go with what is easy first. I need to secure minimum of 2 sets first. So my aim was go for the easy sets, and without even realizing much of it, within 15 minutes, I was done with 2 sets.
Oh,
And
nice.
by the end of 35 minutes, I was done with the entire paper.
Now,
And I was,
here is the catch, Raj. How do you know
uh,
that those two sets were easy? Like
yes,
solving 15
I'll
minutes.
mention that as well.
Hmm.
So the first set that I picked was more of stock market prices. And I have also studied about stock market since a while now. And I thought attempting that would be easier. And second was something about DI. I mean, it was a DI set.
Hmm.
And DI is an easier section to attempt in LRDI. So
Exactly.
I used to go with DI first.
Hmm.
And then I realized I'm done with 2 sets. And then LR sets were also on the easier side. So 35 minutes I was done with the paper and I had enough time to check 1 set because I got excited on the stock market set. I knew I could make a silly mistake there. I made one silly mistake anyhow.
Hmm.
But yes, ended up 162 by that
So
means.
are you that self-aware that you said that I got excited, I thought I might do it wrong. So is
Hmm.
that the kind of self-awareness that you have achieved in your life? You're talking like a saint. Like in those 15 minutes, already there is a pressure, and you are self-aware. Okay, if I get excited, I can go wrong.
Yeah.
Have you actually achieved that? If yes, then how? And is that important for a CAT aspiring?
While it can be called self-aware, I'll call it I've made so many mistakes that I know myself that I can commit a mistake again. And I've been, yeah, on my excitement part, I've committed many mistakes in my mocks where I knew a set could be cracked, but I made a silly error and lost 2 or 3 questions. So I knew I could have made one here as well. And if I have time, why not just check it and prepare my mind again for QA coming up?
Yeah. Mridul, what's your take? Like, how did you score so well in LRDA?
So for me, DLR was a trauma for first 2 attempts. I could only crack 1 set in each of those attempts. And so coming to this time, I was a slot 3 aspirant.
Hmm.
So coming from the reviews of slot 1 and slot 2 people, I knew that DLR is somewhat easy as per the reviews.
Hmm.
And one of my friends also told about the review that I have attempted around 22 questions in DLR from slot 2. So you also try to do that way. So I had that mentality with me that I'm going to go for all. So I started with the easier sets, the ones which were DI because they were plain DI. There was no LR element in it.
Yeah.
So and then whatever sets were left, I was able to finally do all those 5 sets. Yes, there was 1 set I couldn't crack, but I somehow used some guesswork and some educated guesses here and there, and then I could complete the whole 5 sets in the stipulated 40 minutes of time.
That answers the question that how you can get so much that huge a score in LRDI. But also, like Swaraj mentioned the first thing that for CAT 24 it was doable or it was possible because in CAT 24 LRDI was somehow I would not use the term easy, because that kind of pisses off most of the people. But somehow it was more doable when compared to other years. And
Mhm.
but at the very same time, it's the question should not be is getting 62 or 60 marks in LRDI possible. The question should be how to get 99th% in LRDI because difficulty keeps on changing every year and it's the same for everyone. If it is easy for him, it's easy for you as well. Right. So that should be
Mhm.
kept in mind more than the score or the percentage. We should focus on clearing the cutoff first of all and then going to the increasing
Right.
the percentile somehow. Okay. Um, Let me look at the question. I think there might be some questions which we have missed. Tejaswani thinks parajumbles is her weakest point. Practice around 70, 80 parajumbles till now. Just don't get them correct. I get 50% accurately, not more than how to tackle this. So I have answer for this, but I would like you guys, to come up with some answer which for parajumbles.
The parasembles, I believe accuracy is always going to be on the lower side,
Hmm.
where you cannot actually be sure, but you can obviously have a framework for yourself that will work. I mean, for me, it was I used to identify the introduction and conclusion first,
Hmm.
and then go about finding the second and third sentence.
Hmm.
But I used to not fuss on if many times parajumbles go wrong, because I knew my major focus should be RC.
Right.
But you will be a better guide on how parajumbles can be improved, or accuracy can be bettered here.
So Raj, see, the thing is, how it can be improved, I have different ideas for that. But right now, won't be discussing that because that will totally academic discussion. But what
Hmm.
you said, even I do that. You know what? Parajumbles, I know how to approach them. The thing is, when I write CAT myself, parajumble last thing that I attempt. Okay, I go for in VA, I go for para summaries and fill in the blanks.
Hmm.
They are the easiest ones. Out of 8 questions,
Agreed.
you might get 4 there, and that too correct. And then just go to
Agreed.
RC. I keep on doing RCs. If I still get some time, which I do not get to solve parajumbles, I do that. So that is what I do just to, kind of reduce the chances of getting it wrong. But let's say someone wants to, challenge himself or herself that I have to do para jumbles correctly. I don't think the challenge is worth the effort in para jumbles. So
Exactly.
right now, I think focusing more on the doable and easy and manageable parts, more scoring parts is a great idea for now.
And paper setter can always drop a bomb by eliminating parajumbles completely from the paper.
Exactly, exactly. That's right. Sanjay says, as someone whose calculation is not that fast, is it wise to pick a DI set? I personally try to avoid them. Okay, yeah, that's a question for
So
you guys. Yes. Mhm.
for DI, sir, what I believe is for calculation to get intuitive, you need to practice a lot. I mean, 1 by 3 is 0.33. This intuition comes only when you practice a lot of times.
Yeah,
Or 1 by 11 is 0.0909. When does this intuitive knowledge comes? When you practice a lot of times.
right.
And once you practice a lot of times, then you get to know that DI is the most easy, doable thing in the LRDI section.
Yeah,
So again, in LRDI, I would stress on the same thing. How much ever analytically you're sound, practice is very essential for you to score well there.
And also, adding to that, don't go into LRDIs thinking that I'm good at this, I'll only do this. And DI, I'm afraid of DI and I won't touch DI, I won't read DI. Read
hmm,
all the sets. It might be the case that in DI you would get simple bar graphs. That could just be the case.
hmm,
And then I would suggest you read all the sets first as soon as possible in the first 5 minutes, and then prioritize them in whichever order you think. That would be the way to go about it.
hmm, hmm.
Just adding to that, I think uh, I would like to make a more general point that while attempting any section, especially more so for LRDI, I think it's very important that you pick the sets that you want to attempt and develop that ability to, distinguish an easy set from a difficult set.
Hmm.
Like in my CAT examination, I think I left one set and that was the hardest set. And anyone who dared to do that set first got bombarded with low marks in DILR. So that knack only develops after you do it a lot of times. So, do a lot of questions, and just by reading it, you should know that okay, this is the type of question that I can easily solve, or okay, this looks way more complicated than other ones, so I better do that. So don't get fixated that this I can do easily or this I can't do easily. Have a framework, but then have that nimbleness on the exam day to recognize which one should you leave and which one should you hit over the baller for the six.
Right. So let's put a number to that, because I think the parents who are watching it should be having something to take back home. What should they do after watching this discussion? So let's put a number on that. What do you guys think? Like in the due course of preparation for CAT, and now it's 7 months left. How many LRDI sets should one solve in addition to the
Uh, I'll
mocks?
tell you I'll tell you what I did.
Hmm,
I did 2017 or 2018 was I think when the pattern changed for CAT
hmm,
LRDI sets. I
hmm,
did all those mocks, all those PYQs, how many ever times I could. I would have easily done them more than 10 or 20 times. So the reason was that I don't believe in the theory that if you do it once, then the next time they become useless. I think every time you do it, you'll also do them wrong even after you've seen the solution like 10 times. And that really develops that automatic algorithm. So basically, in LRDI, we have these questions which are about four intersecting sets. I think
yeah,
everyone would know that.
yeah,
So I can see that and recognize that question from 10 kilometers, sir. I'm not joking. Of course, I'm exaggerating. But what I mean by that is, by reading the first sentence, I can clearly figure out that this is the type of the question and this is the question that I'm generally good at. So I know whether to take on it or leave it for now. So that's what I did. I think that's a good strategy to have, that you do the PYQs as many times as you can, at least 10 to 20 times.
Great idea. Great idea. I think this is something
Uh,
which is new for the aspirants. If they like this, tell me in the comments also. Now coming to, I think someone had a point. Rahul, you had a point?
Yeah,
Ah.
sure, sir. So adding to that, sir, I would say like I won't put a number to it. So in ways ki how many sets should we do? But like the people who are doing the job as well. So either like college students also, just make sure that you do 1 or 2 sets every day. Be consistent with all the 3 sets, because uh, making a particular section your strength requires a lot of work, but keeping it all balanced would I would say that it takes much less effort, but yeah, would land you a greater percentile, overall percentile, and that matters.
2 to 3 LRDI sets every day would be a great idea, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Along with
And on
2 to 3.
weekends, you should push yourself to 4 to 5 sets.
Okay.
Yeah, and along with 2 to 3 RCs every day as well.
Yeah.
Those are just as important.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Like it keeps you consistent with the all the subjects and all the preparation. You just don't get in view of only one section. Yeah, I'm doing VRC for a week and then I forgot what happened in quants and what happened in
Yeah.
LRDI. So
Swaraj was discussing when I asked the question. He said that, it's kind of goes into intuition. The question was about the calculation. If I'm not good, great calculation, what should I do? Intuition, when you said 1/3 is this, 1/9 is that, that. I remember, when I was preparing for CAT myself. Now, you guys know me. Okay. So I just, kind of calculated drop of a hat. But the thing is, was it like this? Not really. It has become intuitive in me because I have done this so many times over last 11 years. I have like 1/3 का वैल्यू इतना होता है ये मैं 3-4 लाख बार बोल चुका हूँ okay so this is actually intuitive which and the similar kind of extrapolation was done by Krishna Sai, who said that he attempted the same set 10 times the PYQs, a great thing to do. So all of you who are watching this, you should keep this in mind. Okay, apart from solving 2 to 3 sets every day on weekdays and 4 to 5 on weekends, in addition to RCs and quant, if you solve the same set again, that won't be a waste of time, and essentially, especially those which have already been asked in the real CAT exam, starting from CAT 2017, right? Sai, Krishna, that
Yeah, I don't remember if it was 17 or 18, but sometime around that they changed the pattern of LRDI question. So whichever year that was, do them repeatedly, and that is actually what I did for other sections as well, and that worked out well for me because they essentially repeat patterns, not questions but patterns. So if you can pick on those patterns, then the question, the any set becomes a cakewalk for you.
Great. Now, adding on to the question which she asked, I think Sanskriti was, right, Sanskriti? Is fast calculation actually important for CAT? Now, see, I'm a mentor. I teach for CAT, I'm a facilitator. And on this, everybody's watching it. I can openly say, having speed in calculations doesn't matter much in the, the scores that you get in CAT. Obviously, that helps you somehow indirectly, that when you calculate fast, you are dealing with numbers in a very quick manner. Deal with numbers, so you are able to find the patterns easily than others. But the actual calculation, that doesn't actually work. You have the on-screen calculator, and other things are intuitive, as Swaraj said. What do you guys think?
I think the same thing, sir. In fact, my fast calculation has sometimes, backfired in a way where I have a few calculations already done in my mind, and the question had something else which the question expected. But yes, you have enough time for you to score very well without even having a good calculation speed.
Right.
But you need to have certain amount of comfort while solving that section, and that comes when you practice a lot.
So
Be over prepared.
speed calculations have an indirect benefit, no direct benefit.
Indirect benefit.
It never helps people to calculate fast. It happens. It helps people to develop an intuition fast, I think, or
Intuition.
like familiarity fast. So
Right.
it's important, but not in the way as it is portrayed That is something which
It's not equivalent to good marks
exactly. This
in a
is
way.
I've said it out in the open. I don't know whether people like it or not, but that's the reality.
I think it does have an edge over the scientific calculator which is provided in the CAT exam interface. If you can manually calculate, you have some tricks. Like if there is some number ending with 5 and we need to calculate the square of it. So there's a short trick for that. So if we have those tricks, we have some basic maths also. I think you teach that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can help. And if we are targeting 22 questions in quant, these 10 seconds or 15 seconds will also matter, because that once compounds to the 22nd question, you will have that much of time to attempt at least that 22nd question. If
That's the direct benefit.
I think
Right.
I think it's about
Mhm.
yes, please.
Yeah.
I was just saying that it's a good thing if you have, but don't fret about it if you don't. I mean,
Exactly.
it's not a thing that you can develop overnight. So try to work on the exam rather than these tips and tricks which help. But if you don't have it, you don't have it. Move on. What can you do?
Right, right. It helps indirectly. Like what Mridul said, it might save, let's say, a combined of 250, not 250, 150 seconds, I would say, which is 2.5 minutes. Obviously, you can do one more question. That is how it helps directly. But indirectly, it helps in different ways. But if you don't have it, there's no need to panic or worry. कि मैं वही करता हूँ 10 घंटे. No need for doing that. Okay. Now, let us look at some more questions people might be having here. Okay. Ankit says, I completed arithmetic and now going to algebra. Can I drop geometry in cons? Because I'm weak in cons, please help me. That is the kind of question one should refrain from answer, but yeah, because we have honest people here.
No, do not
No.
drop geometry altogether. I mean, you would get some easy questions, some direct area calculation or something like that. So try to finish it off, and you have plenty of time right now. So do not drop it, and perhaps at the later stages you can focus more on arithmetic and algebra, because of course they're the most important aspects of quants. But do not drop geometry altogether. That would be my advice.
Yeah, my take here would also be same. Like, be a jack of all trades, complete the whole syllabus. It may happen that a easy question comes from a topic that you were going to leave, and it happened in my set, a simple calculation of radius was given in quants in my set, so that I just used the formula and got the answer. So yeah, don't leave it at all. Go through the basics so that at least you can answer the easy ones if they come from that section.
Yeah, adding on to it, rather, I mean, leaving a certain section altogether, as in quant, for let's say it be geometry, definitely not geometry, given that geometry could have a decent enough weightage in the actual paper. I would say rather not even, let's say, leave numbers as in whole because you're weak at it, or let's say it has less weightage. I had a direct question on remainders, which would have been very easy. So, I mean, there can be just like sitters in the paper which you could have done very easily, but just because you would have left it, you left it. So I mean, that is definitely not the way to go about it.
Last year, no, I was shocked. It was shocked why they are asking such easy questions on remainders. Like, every slot had one question like that.
Yeah.
Very basic questions were there. In fact, people who do not even do much of numbers could have solved that. That is
Yeah,
why
so,
it's kind of essential to go through every domain, every chapter. If not completely, but yeah, you should have a kind of partial knowledge of it, at least the basic. Like I think Krishna said, discuss about the areas and volumes, right? Krishna,
Yeah.
you said
If
that?
I may, if I may put it this way, if you solve easy questions of all topics, you will get a very good percentile. So that's the reality of it. But that's the simple thing that people miss. That people think that I'll score so much good in one section that others won't matter. That doesn't happen. They'll ask you questions that you won't be able to solve it if you dedicate all 3 hours to that one question. So don't go with that mindset. Go with the mindset that मुझे आज सिर्फ आसान सवाल करने हैं. अगर तुम सारे आसान सवाल सही कर दोगे तो तुम्हारा आ जाएगा. As simple as that.
Right, right. Swaraj, yes, I saw your message. So
Yes, sir.
Swaraj has a meeting because you guys know that he's working. So he will be going. We will also be going in 15 minutes, but Swaraj has a meeting at 6:15. So
Yes,
Swaraj, it was really nice talking to you. In fact, we talk normally, but the people who are watching here, Swaraj, let's congratulate him once again, and maybe we'll connect again.
sure, Sure, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me, sir. It was great talking to everyone, including you again. So any time people want to connect, obviously iQuanta mentors are available 24/7. But yes, you can connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn for Aspal Kesari anytime you have any queries. Thank you, everyone.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So let's continue with what Krishna was saying.
Uh, I said, I mean, I don't really have anything else to add.
Okay. All right. Let us look at some more queries people have now. Vishakha says, my drawback lies in fonts. Any tips or areas that require main focus? Vishakha, yeah, we have discussed that already. It's arithmetic algebra forms the highest weightage, but still, having said that, you cannot, skip the other topics. You should have at least a partial knowledge for everything. Now coming to Shankar Das, he says, what are the effective strategies for revising quant topics? There can be different strategies. So I think we have 6 people here who can discuss their strategies and what works for someone. They can pick it up. So let's start with Anuj. Okay, yeah, Anuj.
Okay.
Mridul.
Yeah, I actually had a very weird strategy.
Weird strategy.
I'm a strong believer of pasting things on walls. So I put up chart papers on my walls of all the formula and the entire quant syllabus basically.
Okay.
So it was very easy to revise. So if you can afford to do that to your room, so that's one way to go about it.
Okay. You know what? This will again, yours was weird, mine was quirky. What I did as a kid, I I I had a chit and I wrote formula on that and I put it in my shoes. So next time when I have to wake up and wear the shoes, I have to pull that out and read it. So that is what I did after now before sleeping. Well,
Sir, I think for revising quants, the best strategy is to give a lot more of sectionals, because in sectionals, all the topics will get covered. And if you are not able to do that question, I think you can just pinpoint to that concept if you have the module available with you, and then you can revise that. So specific areas can be revised, and it is a very
through
time.
mocks, you are saying. Okay, so attempting the mock, and if you find problem in some concept or sub-concept, you can just revise that. Okay.
So in the run up to the main paper, CAT paper, what I did was a day before I solved all the sectionals of three slots of last year's CAT of quant. The day before that I solved 2022. The day before that I solved 2021. So I did that for 2-3 years, and that really revises all things, because it's possible that in a slot or in one particular area some question was not asked, but over 3-4 years all things will be asked. That's pretty much guaranteed. So you have what, between 3 years, 3 slots, 9 papers, 16 papers possibly if you do 4 years. So that is what I did, and I really believe that practice really improves your memory more than anything else. So that worked for me. So people can try that if they feel like it.
Great. Kishan Kumar has a question which I think we have answered already. He might have joined late. He says, "Sir, I have 5 years of gap due to UPSC. Is it okay to prepare for CAT?"
So I'll tell you
Krishna.
something.
Yeah, Krishna.
Yeah,
Krishna will be answering
I'll
that.
tell you something.
Mhm.
Before, I gave my last year's attempt, and after that I was mulling over what should I do, what should I do. So I thought, instead of mulling about it right now, let me just give CAT. If I get a bad percentile in CAT, then I won't have an option. I'll have to study for UPSC again. So let's wait for the CAT exam to happen, and then I'll think about it. So that is one thing. Secondly, what I'd like to also add is that in the run up to my interview prep, or in deciding which career path should I go on, I contacted many alumni. So I knew a few people in FMS, and FMS is generally the place people go after UPSC, because FMS doesn't have any criteria for work ex, so we are not penalized for that. So I had a senior who did her graduation, who did a post graduation from FMS. So I contacted her asking, "Hey, do you have any advice for me?" And she got me in touch with a few people who had 5-6 years of gap because of UPSC, and all of them. Two of them, I talked to two of them in detail, and they did their MBA from this thing from FMS, and now are placed in very good companies. So yes, it is possible, but then again, there are a lot more barriers before it. So think about it when you actually have an option, rather than mulling about it right now when you cannot do anything about it. So right now, I think in 20 days prelims is there. If you're giving prelims, focus on that right now. After prelims, you'll have plenty of time to prepare for mains or CAT, whichever you want to do. In fact, I started my CAT preparation after September. So it's not a big deal. First
After
do that,
September.
and then, yeah,
Okay.
because I was in that cycle. Na, September we have mains. So
Right.
after that only I had time to do CAT preparation. So right now don't mull about it. It is possible, definitely possible. How to do it, what to do it, these options will only open once you score good in those exams. So focus on that first.
Right. And when you are called for the interview, PI, you can obviously connect to me
Yeah, of
and even
course.
even Krishna Sai, because he's
Yeah,
also
you can connect to me, or there are plenty of people who have done this. I'm not the first one, I'll not be the last one. So
yes.
yeah, that's what.
Okay. There is someone, Gautam is there. Gautam Nidhav, he says, I scored 98.94 in CAT 24. Selected in I am Cozy Code. Thank you very much. This was impossible without you. So I think we should congratulate him. Gautam, you are invited in this round table. You should be here. Let's congratulate him, everyone. He converted I am Cozy Code.
Congratulations, Gautam.
That's
Congrats, Gautam.
Yeah, congrats, Gautam.
Congratulations.
perfect. So Ram Surat says practicing PYQs enough to attend and get more marks. Practicing PYQs enough to attend and get more marks. I think he's asking if I practice only PYQs, would that be enough? That is, I think,
PYQs is necessary but not sufficient.
necessary and sufficient
And
conditions.
I
I
would
remember my college
I would
days.
also ask you to save your PYQs till perhaps October, because I think they're the closest thing to CAT that we have, and giving them as mocks when your syllabus is complete is a good way to judge your ability to take CAT.
Right.
At least, definitely, yeah. As you mentioned, that give enough mocks before you actually go for the previous year mocks or previous year question, so that you're as prepared as you would be in CAT, and you're just testing yourself against on how you would be possibly, as he mentioned, the closest thing to CAT. Again, is anything enough to get more marks? I don't think so. I could reach to that stage possibly. I gave 45 plus marks. I gave all the previous year question papers, as Krishna mentioned. I was also doing the same thing just before my CAT in the last 2 weeks, possibly. I gave all the full length mocks, previous years of last 4 slots, 4 years. So again, it is about when you are actually prepared of it. I would say rather you can start giving mocks earlier. You do not have to wait that your syllabus gets completed and then you have to appear for mocks. That is a very wrong way to go about it. At least I could find areas where I knew that okay, this is something which is definitely not clicking for me while I'm doing it. I would rather study this first and then eventually move on with the syllabus, so that you can also have a good idea on how to go ahead with the syllabus that way.
Right.
Of course, I have a slightly contrarian point of view, as you can have would have gauged based on my previous answers. I solely relied on PYQs mostly, and mocks very few in number, and that too mostly to learn time management. So what the point I would try to make is, one, don't think that if you are given a mock once it becomes useless for you. You can give it n number of times, as I've said. Second, be a bit experimental and find out what works for you. Like all these people are watching for mocks. Of course, it worked for them. That's why they're here. So if it works for you, do that. If it doesn't work for you, do something else. So for me, I was never able to get the feel of it in mocks. I just always felt that the questions were a tad bit too different to add additional value as much as PYQs would. So I went that route. So try and figure out what works for you is the suggestion I would give.
Great. I think we have discussed mostly all the things. Still, in case people have doubts, you can, after the session is over, you can just put in the comments. I will have my team personally looking at it. And in case you want to, connect to me or anyone who is here, you can do it via chat question by iQuanta group. But the last question which I want to take up is from Tejaswini again. She says, for which B schools do we need SOPs and LORs?
That all comes way later. I mean,
Yeah,
worry
I
about your
would
CAT
say
score first.
CAT
worry
right
about
now.
the
Aaj ki baat
CAT
hai.
first.
Right. This is the question. This is the question which there's been even directly asked me. It comes later, obviously.
Yeah, just
SP Chan is one such example right now, but it also
Bangalore.
depends on what kind of profile do you have. There's multiple things. You can discuss that with me in the later stages. So I think
I
just
do
if
ask
you
for an LOR, I think. Otherwise, there are SOPs for multiple colleges, but
yeah,
then LORs are.
LORs are not there majorly in Indian colleges. It is for
if
the
if you
foreign
leave
colleges.
if you leave your job, do not burn bridges. That's all I'll
Yeah,
advise as of this point.
you have to contact them at later many points. So have
Yeah,
good
yeah.
relations
I
with every
think
one of them.
LORs only ISB and I am Bangalore Tech.
I am Bangalore Tech, yeah.
Yes. Perfect. So I think that's all about this, and it would be nice talking to you guys once again. We have been talking for I don't know how many months. And congratulations once again, all of you. Whenever you want to, you are in
Thank you,
Gurgaon
sir.
or Delhi NCR, let's catch up. I think some of you will
Yes.
stay here only. And any other cat which present aspirants of cat, or even though those will be doing it in the future. So in case you want to connect to any one of us, you're welcome via cat profession by iQuanta group. And also you can just put in the comments here if in case you have any further queries, throw some likes, and that is where we'll end session. Thank you. Have a great weekend ahead. Thanks.
Thank you. All the best to everyone.
Thank you. All
All
the
the
best.
best, everyone.
Everyone, and
Yeah.
All the best to
congratulations
everyone. Yeah.
All the
to
cat
all of
25
you.
aspirants.
Yeah. Best of
Bye-bye.
luck.
Bye-bye. Okay, I'm ending.